you're muted.
Nope. There we go. Let's try that. How's that audio?
Something popped up behind you. It looked like someone was behind you there for a minute.
Oh, I don't know what that was. That's just me on the mirror.
Oh, it's a mirror. Okay, so that might have been Natalie.
It could have been Natalie moving around. All
It
right.
was kind of funny. You had like a ghost head pop up behind you. So I didn't know if
Oh,
you
that
were in a
could be.
restaurant.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that
There.
was Natalie.
There you can see her face. Zoom like breaks it just enough. We see a little bitty face right by my arm. So if I do this, yeah, there your face is like, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to do that. There we go.
The
Fun with
ghost in the
mirrors.
machine.
All right, good times. All right. All right. So we're going to complete season 25.
26. Or hang on. I
Let's
believe
figure
it's
out what are we
26.
completing and what are we starting? We're starting 26 and we're ending 25, right?
No, we're ending 26 and starting 27.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a lot of seasons. There's podcasts that don't make that many episodes, much less seasons. And we've had seasons that have like 100 episodes.
Yeah, like you talked to that lady last night.
Oh, yeah. She was immediately amazed.
Yeah.
She was all sorts of like,
Quick.
yeah. She's like, and you're not making money? I'm like, yeah, we're not making money. We're just doing it because we're freaking awesome.
It was all foolish. I don't
Hey, tomato, tomato.
I mean,
Oh,
initially we started this off just wanting to help people, not necessarily about making money. And then we tried to monetize it, and then we just
I'm just
haven't.
honestly, I get frustrated that we haven't monetized it. There are a lot of podcasts that have put not nowhere near what we've put out there and are making like that's all they're doing. Like I should be able to retire. This is just we're investing and we're going to be able to retire into being podcasters.
Now we just got to figure out how to do it. All right. I'm taking notes here real quick. All right. So we're ending. Whoop, hey, we're screensaver. What the heck? There we go. We're ending building better foundations.
Right.
All right.
And we're starting incremental.
We're starting focus forward motion, getting started on your goals.
Momentum. Focus. Okay.
Yeah, I was working on something because I was in interview mode and just trying to get ready for the next gig or whatever uh, after the layoffs. Well, some of my team members are junior mid-level people, and they're like, well, where do we begin? What do we do? One of the guys, I guess this was his first job, so that explains why he's so anti-capitalism, anti-corporation. He just hates uh, corporate America. And it's like, dude, this is how it works. Yes, you may hate it, but you want a paycheck, right? You have a kid coming. You got to pay for bills. I mean, you can't be that immature.
Yeah.
So I've started putting together a Spring Boot 4 kind of mini master series because Spring Boot 4 just came out in December, and it's got some pretty slick changes to it, which really, I mean, not counting AI, but it's at least a 20%, if not more, improvement in coding time and things. It eliminated a lot of bullshit. It added a whole bunch of stuff. So, like a lot of the dependencies you had to bring in, you don't have to now. They're part of the core. And it looked cool. I was like, hey, I watched the series that the lead developer put out from Spring, and I'm like, okay, this would actually make like maybe a good 10, 20 short episode series on just let's build a web application with Spring Boot from the beginning with Spring Boot 4. Like highlight, hey, this is 4, this is how, like kind of before and after kind of things. And I've started doing it. I've gotten through like maybe 2, 3 episodes. I didn't like where I started, so I'm resetting, but I think I've got a flow now. So hopefully by February, I might start dropping those out. But then I was thinking this morning, it's like, well, with AI, should I? I mean, are people really still going to be learning this, or are they going to be used? I got into kind of like a philosophical debate with myself about that this morning. It's like,
It wouldn't
is
be a
it
bad
worth
one.
my
That's
time?
actually it's one
Yeah.
I did that. I've got somewhere in there. I don't think I totally finished it out, but I was basically converting an old just a Java, I don't even remember what it was. I think it was just a Java Spring app. It was like an older one that started, gosh, 7 or 8 years ago, and I was converting it to Spring Boot and Time Leaf because I was using, I think, JSPs or something. I can't. It was like way back,
I think
and
I remember that one. Yeah.
converting it up, and it turned out it was a pretty good. I probably had, I don't know, 15, 20 episodes or something like that of just basic. And it was really fun from a conversion because it's like, okay, here's Java. Here's what it looks like. And here's how easy it is to convert it over. Here's what it looks like in Spring Boot. This is how you run it. And it was going through the whole, like, basically building a Spring Boot application from scratch, except for it was based off another application. So I was able to very quickly say, like, okay, here's the database. Let's connect to it. Here's how we connect to the database. Here's our homepage. Okay, cool. We're like displaying a page and stuff like that. And then walked through the application and was able to do a lot of different like areas of Spring Boot and just Java in general, using like JDBC template or whatever I use to connect to the database, things like that. So it was a cool little tutorial. So something like that's not a bad thing to throw out there and do in good, it was not too hard to do it in like 15-minute chunks, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Some of the initial ones, that's where I got kind of hung up. It's like I did 3 and they were taking too long, or I felt they were too long, and I didn't do them cleanly enough to where I could just cut it. Like I tried to cut it and it just wasn't clean. So now I'm gonna, I've kind of got like a little post-it note thing that's like, okay, here's what I want to do for the first part, stop. Here's what I want to do for the second part, stop. Um, Still do it in one recording, but it's telling me, hey, take a pause here so that you can cut it, because I just didn't have a clean cut. Like where I should be able to cut it, I was talking through it, and it's like crap. I kind of like when you do the intro. Sometimes you go like, and you jump right into it, and I'm like, okay, where do I cut? Like sometimes it carries, and you got to cut just right to get what you want, and not the bleed over. And I just couldn't do it right, so I was like, screw it. I'll just it's I enjoy doing kitchen sink apps like that, and it is still Spring Boot 4, so there's still new stuff with it. So it's like, okay, I'm not comfortable with it yet, so I will be by the time I'm done with it.
Yeah, that helped me a lot when I was going through it. And the same thing, I did a lot of editing on that because I would sit there and sit down for a 15-minute session, and it'd take me an hour and a half because I'd be tracing through something because I was walking through like debugging and all kinds of stuff, and so I was finding ways to like cut and slice and turn it back down to something small. So it was challenging, but it was when I had some time to do it, and it was where I was like, okay, this is something I wanted to knock out. But welcome to everybody. At some point, we've hit record. I'm not exactly sure when, but somewhere back there we hit record, and we are wrapping up season 26. It is just like I had to ask them several times. Really 26? It's really 26, and we're about to start 27. So we're going to jump into the podcast, and we'll just do like a little bit of an overview or like thoughts on season 26 and some of the things that we've got out of this on building better foundations. And so we are going to just right into it. Well, hello and welcome back. We are wrapping up season 26, Building Better Foundations. We are the Building Better Developers podcast, the Developreneur podcast. I am Rob Broadhead, one of the founders of Developreneur, also the founder of RB Consulting, where we help you leverage technology to do business better, to help your problems just go away. Get that kitchen sink app of technology and get it cleaned up so it's nice and sparkly for you and your year ahead, as it may be. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing is I am sitting in Portugal. I am like now officially a digital nomad after a long and torturous journey that you could see more about it on roamingwithrobbly.com. We have sort of thrown some of our stories together. It is in some ways, it is way better than I thought it was going to be, but getting here was way harder than I thought it was going to be. So the good thing is I'm here. The bad thing is it's like it is a little bit of a challenge sometimes to do these kinds of this. Like my studio is now not what my studio was. I spent years perfecting and honing the studio for my podcast. And now I have to sort of wing it a little bit and figure it out each time I do it. So things like where I had very set, cameras and mics and stuff like that, no longer. I have to like do it on the fly, which may make things a little more interesting as we go into 26. But the cornerstone of the podcast is still there, and Michael will introduce himself now.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Malash. I'm one of the co-founders of Building Better Developers, also known as Developreneur. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we build and test reliable custom systems so you can focus on your growth of your business. Good thing, bad thing, not really any bad this week. We're into a new year. Things last year was the bad thing, I guess. Just getting to the end of the year, there was a lot going on, a lot of pivots, a lot of things going on. But this year, off to a good start, starting to build some new courses and building the business.
And so let's talk about season 26. It was Building Better Foundations. We did almost everything was an interview. We had a lot. Why is my camera there? Go. I hate it when the camera decides to be smart and adjust stuff to you. Those of you guys that are listening have no idea what I'm talking about. Those of you guys that are watching, sorry, that was the camera deciding to auto adjust some stuff. But so we had almost the entire season was interviews. We did have a couple of just us talking. And of course, it was split by the holiday episodes. But I think we'll just dive right into the concept, the Building Better Foundations piece. I want to go back and revisit that a little bit. And really what it is, what our goal was when we got into this was to focus on the things that matter, and they always matter, and making sure that we continue to keep that focus on them. Maybe not, I guess, 100%, but not let them drift away or not let them just sort of fall into the background. And those are things that we talk about all the time, that we get frustrated as developers that people don't do it. People being usually our boss or the customers or whoever it is, the they that we like to complain about. Where we, it's maybe we're not getting the testing in or the comments in or the time to design stuff that we want to, or it's not as pretty as we would like it to be, or whatever it is. All these things come back to some foundational stuff. And it is things like when you're writing code, you need to design first. You need to think about what you're doing. You need to comment it. You need to actually commit it to a repository with useful comments, not I wrote some more code on this. Those kinds of things, those foundational things. And then with the business, the foundational things of like, you do have to always work on the business and not just in the business. If you can write bill every hour, then bully for you, but at some point your business is not going to grow. You've got to find a way to actually be doing we'll call it, the non-billable work for your business for it to grow. You are investing in your future at that point. And I think we've had a broad range of discussions through this season and touched in a lot of those areas. And I guess I'll put you on the hot seat first and say, like, what's maybe one or two things that really has stuck out to you in the season that we've just gone through?
So a lot of the things that building foundations, like you touched on, you have to work in the business, work on your business to grow the business. Because if you're always working in your business, you're not out there growing the business. You're not finding new customers. So at some point, your funnel dries up and you have no choice but to go find work. But at that point, you could be in a situation where you have no money coming in. So now what do? You can't pay the bills. Things are a little more stressful than they needed to be. We actually had some very good interviews and conversations around branding and marketing and the sales and funnels, which I thought was very interesting because we've talked about that. And I know personally I'm not the greatest at going out and doing those sales in the funnels. Talking to people, looking for customers is one thing, but to kind of do the whole social media, digital marketing thing, I don't have time for that. So I've had to kind of offshore that a little bit and hire people to help me do that. But you can't forget about doing that, because if you don't do that, you kind of lose that digital footprint. People don't see you. You're that solo person standing in a crowded room shouting at the top of your lungs. No one's hearing you because you don't stand out. So those were some of the things that keep coming back to my mind. It's like, yes, I got to keep working on that. I got to remember that. I got to focus on that. And then some of the other things that were that came out of it, not necessarily foundational, but some of the conversations we had about where AI was changing things. And as you continue to grow your business and working on the foundations, you do need to start considering AI as a tool, not necessarily a replacement, but as a way to start improving and growing your business and looking for inefficiencies so that you can perform better, so you can get rid of the stupid tasks that take you too long. Find a way to automate it. If you can't think about or figure out how to automate, throw it in AI. Ask, hey, how can I streamline this? How can I make it better? And those were some of the things that came out of some of the discussions that I was like, oh, hey, that's an idea. Went and tried it, and it's like, oh, hey, already I've improved. Like, even if you improve 1% or automate a few things, you got time back. So now you can work on the business, or you can have more billable hours. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's funny. I was just in a conversation yesterday with a group. Think of it like a mastermind group kind of thing. And we were talking about like, it was really focused on starting in the next year, and what is it that you're spending a lot of your time on, and where can you find efficiencies in your schedule? And then it ended up sort of pointing to, so what can you do with AI? And the funny thing is, by the time I got to the what can you do with AI, I'd actually already done that, because I started looking. I think this is one of the best things I've done for my business. And this came out of a lot of the conversations we had here and some of the conversations I had on other podcasts, because AI is everywhere. People are talking about it all the time. There's so many things that you can do that are very redundant, that are very just time consuming and very easy to automate. We talked about this a couple seasons ago when we talked about just having, like, we did the challenges. One of them was every week automate something. And I think now you could take that same challenge and every week pick something and automate it. And if you don't know how to talk to AI about it, run it through AI and see what you can do. Because sometimes just between some scripts or something like that, or just throwing it in AI and allowing it to do most of the work, or building an agent or building an app or something like that. I've built tons of apps now to just automate, and scripts and all these things to just automate stuff all over the place. Every time I do something now, I'm getting more and more in that focus of like, how do I automate it? When I talk to any business owner, I'm looking at what they do, what are their processes, how can we automate it? How can we simplify it? And it's always been part of my makeup and part of my modus operandi, as it would be. But also now with AI, it's like the time consumption of it becomes like minimal. Like virtual assistants, I think, are going to just disappear. I think I've said that before. It's because AI is now a perfectly good, perfectly serviceable virtual assistant. The stuff that I always was hesitant to do by spending the money and training up a VA, now I don't have to worry about it, because I've been able to train an AI to do that for me. And if I don't like that AI, I can fire it and I can go check another AI engine and go run it through that and see how it does. And for what I need, it has kicked butt across the board. And I think that's the foundations that where we got into that on a couple of situations, is the foundations of things like marketing and branding and being able to do the testing of that is now so much easier, because you can spin up A/B comparisons of your pages and your funnels and images even, and things like that so quickly that it's almost like a no-brainer to just like go do it, run it for a while, or run it side by side for a while and see which one works better, and then pick it and move on. I think that's one of the foundational things that we're seeing was a change. that coincided during the season is that there's a lot of things where AI is starting to drop some of those barriers. And I think for you guys in the audience, that's something to think about. It's like the years it took to learn, to develop, and to do things. There's a lot of value in that. But you're going to now have to be able to know how to differentiate that from somebody that can say, well, I just built an app yesterday because I just vibe coded my way into this thing. And you're going to have to be able to understand, what does that mean? What is the difference between somebody actually designing and thinking through and building real software versus somebody that told an agent to go out and just build it and it said, here's a bunch of code, go run it. And it may look good, but there's going to be issues, and you've got to be able to identify those and be able to say, no, that is not ready for prime time. And I think people are seeing it, but I digress a little bit from the foundational side of this. I do want to swing back into this season. It was, as always, it was really interesting to see how we took people from very different situations, different areas of ownership, of where they were in their organization, younger people, older people, technologists, not so technologists. And there's a lot of themes that kept coming back. My favorite foundation that I use all the time is why. Is like, know your why. Understand why it is that you're doing this, which is very closely like right in line with know your customer. Who is your ideal customer? I think that is like, that's gold to you. If you understand your why and can talk about that in a sentence or two, your elevator pitch, and then you can understand and your avatar to the point that you can be like, I can draw a picture of what this person looks like, even if they don't exist. But as far as I'm concerned, in my head, they do. And then be able to share that with your team. I think those are a couple of great cornerstone ideas that came out of the season in a lot of our conversations. Thoughts?
To kind of piggyback off that, some of the other themes that I was taking a lot of through all these different conversations is process before tools. Michael Taguchi mentioned this, but we heard this kind of throughout. It's like, you need to make sure that you understand your why, like you said, but you also need to understand what you're doing. Are you on task? Are you doing what is important? Or are you going down many rabbit holes? Because if you have bad processes, using AI or automation to automate those bad processes is not going to make you more efficient. It's just going to make you, basically, you're going to end up with more spaghetti and less single line focus. So if you want to get to your goal, you need to, redefine your why, redefine what it is that you need to do, and stay on task and avoid the noise. Mr. Productivity, we were talking to him about, staying on task, not getting distracted. Not just with his conversation, but with many other conversations. It's that same thing. You need to stay focused on your task, but what is your task? You have to clearly define that. And it's not just the why, what it is you're doing, but it is why, what am I doing right now? What am I supposed to be getting done? Or ask yourself, is what I'm doing the most value use of my time? Am I working on something that I should be doing later, and work on something that is more high focus, high intensity, get that done, get it out of the way. And then if I have time, come back to that menial task later. I've asked myself after those quite a bit, at least once a day, am I working on what I need to be working on, or have I scope creeped? Have I task creeped? Am I off on doing something I shouldn't be doing? Especially with AI, because AI, just like Google, you go Google something, it's like trying to solve a problem. And it's like, okay, here's like a keyword or something. Okay, here's a better way to ask the question. But if you ask the wrong question, you end up down those rabbit holes where you don't need to be. So you need to start focusing on how to reel that back, get back on task, and stay focused.
Yeah, I think that's also something we've hit on, maybe not specifically, but definitely hinted around it, is understanding what questions to ask when you're sitting there trying to figure out how to do things better, and how it is like defining your processes. But how do you question and test the processes that you have? And it is things like, well, is this really moving the ball towards the goal line for what my business needs to do? This is something I had in a conversation yesterday as well, where it's like, yes, one of the things that I went through in fourth quarter last year was that I was able to get a lot of stuff out of my head and create concrete things. But there were a lot of those things that didn't necessarily need to be created or moved forward. It's like, okay, cool. I've got it out of my head. I'm going to go set it aside because that's not really where I need to go. And that was, it does take you away from it. And it is. It's just like anything else. If you don't watch out, you can end up on a rabbit trail that you really don't need to be on. So you need to keep yourself focused, which goes back to one of my all-time favorites is like use like Pomodoro or something like that and make sure you're like keeping yourself, especially I found that the shorter Pomodoro cycles, the 25 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, really help me like have that, like almost that ticking in my head where I'm like, I need to be focused on this. I will put this thing aside, especially when you're waiting for AI. This is like, it has reintroduced something that I got in the past where you would go compile your code and it would take, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. So while you're waiting for the machine to do its work, you can go do something else. You can write an email, you can check email, you can do whatever. It's very easy right now when you're waiting for AI to kick a response back to go like jump on your phone for a second or something like that. And the next thing you know, a few seconds has now become a few minutes, and now you're wasting time and you've lost time getting distracted. Those distractions have picked up and taking you off of your course. So those are some things to keep looking for. And it gets back to, like I say, it always goes back to the foundations. That is your why. Why am I doing this work today? What is it that is my goal? What am I supposed to be doing? What do I want to have done at the end of the day? And periodically do a little, self-check of like, is this moving me in the direction I need it to? Or am I wasting time? Or at least, if not wasting time, at least not spending time on the things that need to be my focus for the day. Closing thought?
Yeah, the final thing I would like to say about building better foundations is, like you said, what is your why? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Write down some tasks or some bullet points for what it is that you want your business to be, what's your why, how you want it to grow. And then finally, put together a roadmap or a plan. And I challenge you to stick to it. I know we're already into 2026, but this is a great way to kick off a new year, is to kind of reset your foundation, reset what it is that you want your business to be or what your side hustle needs to be, and then go for it. Start working it, start building it, and try to keep to that foundation and let your business grow.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I actually built a little to-do app that is to allow myself to focus on those kinds of things that I sort of keep an audit trail of what have I done? Am I am I in the business, on the business? Is this overhead? What is it? I highly recommend doing something like that if you want to scratch your own itch, basically. If you want to you're looking for an excuse to build an app in whatever technology, build something like that, because to-do apps are super simple. You can keep it to probably just a couple of tables in a database, or maybe even a couple of files if you just don't even want to bother with the database. Give it a simple user interface, and it gives you a tool that you can use and an excuse to build a tool or an app. And just something like that, however it is, I think that's a great way stepping into 26 is to get yourself into the habit of focusing on what you need to focus on. We are going to focus on the next season, and it is literally, there's no break. We're coming right back around, and we're going to dive right in next episode, kicking off season 27. I'm not going to tell you what it is, though, yet, because we might as well not. We're going to give you a little bit of cliffhanger as we go from this season into the next one. As always, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and hanging out with us for yet another season. It is always just incredibly amazing to me, the numbers that we have racked up in episodes and blog posts and stuff out on YouTube and all those kinds of things. Definitely appreciate all you guys and the times that you have spent with us, that you have invested with us over the years now, almost a decade of this. And feel free, as always, we don't ask you enough, I guess, but like share us with your friends. Go out there, tell people about us, go out and yell out in the street that like, hey, there's Developing More people. And this is a great podcast. Even if you think it's like an okay podcast, lie a little bit. Give us some more people out here to just come and be entertained. That being said, thank you so much. Have a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. And I'm not going to bother with, I don't know, do we need any bonus material to wrap this one? I don't think so. I
No, we
think we're
don't
just
really
going
do bonus on the season enders.
to,
We
yeah.
just
So
usually end in, yeah.
So we're going to wrap this one up for you guys. Thank you also for hanging out on the YouTubers here for this season at least, or maybe at least this episode. And if we love feedback. Give it to us however you can, whether it's comments here, whether you want to shoot us an email at info@developreneur, all that kind of stuff. You hear it all the time. We try to keep beating that drum because we love to hear from you so we can just do a better job for you, the audience. Thank you, and we will see you next time.